Now?
Yes.
Okay. So good evening to one and all present here. So this is Jyothir Skandan and my teammate Kishore Kumar here to present the student internship report on project planning using Microsoft projects. So these are the intern details. So we are from SSN College of Engineering, currently pursuing our final year. So we had this internship right from 10th June to 10th July. It was the online internship via Google Meet. And apart from the first 7 days, we had online live workshop training, which was held in Google Meet. And then after the 7 days got over, we were asked to refer to the e-learning course on the same topic. So during those 7 day period, the trainer for this session was engineer Parimal Marathe. And moving on now. So this is the company profile. So CMTI is a bridging institute which focuses on the development of young civil engineers on practical aspects and the latest advanced technologies in the construction sector. They provide short-term and long-term training for students and make them professionally suitable for various requirements of the construction sector. CMTI is founded by engineer S.G. Ashok Kumar, project management professional from ex-L&T, an expert trainer having rich experience in construction over 30 years. The vision of CMTI is to provide qualitative value-added training for enhancing the talents of young minds and enrich the learning modalities for the sustainable development to offer employment opportunities. So moving on to the presentation outline. So these are the topics that would be covered in today's session. So the topic is basically split into 4 parts. The first 3 parts will fall under one section, which is named as Fundamentals of a Good Planner and Work Breakdown Structure. And the second part will fall under Project Planning using MSP. So in the first section, we have 3 topics, which is project and project management, project planning, and work breakdown structure. So as you can see, in the first part, in project and project management, we will learn about the definition, key characteristics of the project, types of projects, project constraints or boundaries, different project management methodologies, other project management methodologies, and hybrid project management techniques. In project planning, we'll learn about the definition of project planning. Why do we need to plan for a project? The stages, project status report, elements in the report, attributes of a good planner, pitfalls in project planning, and future of project planning and management. Coming to the third part in the first section, which is the work breakdown structure or simply called as WBS, we learn about definition, decomposition, which is one of the primary things of WBS, types of work breakdown structure, why do we need it, the structure of WBS, how important is WBS, interaction with WBS with other breakdown structures such as OBS, etc., different views of WBS, what can be included in a WBS, how do we create a WBS, and tips for making a good WBS, and finally pitfalls in it. And coming to section 2, we have project planning using MSP, in which we'll be learning about the introduction about the software, some MSP features and limitations. And this is primarily focused on the software level and in the civil engineering field. So we'll be learning how to set projects, the types of tasks that can be entered, linking of tasks, predecessors, and the standard relationships, duration estimation, slack and its types, resources, how do we add resources to the project, over allocation, fixing the problem of over allocation, baseline, setting a baseline, tracking of the project after setting up baseline, reports available, and before that, different types of views available in MSP, and finally reports that can be generated using the Microsoft projects. So I will be covering the first 3 parts, and my good friend Kishore will be covering the last part, which is project planning using MSP. So moving on to the first part, we'll learn about what is project. First of all, a project is defined as a sequence of tasks that must be completed to attain a certain outcome. According to the Project Management Institute, the term project refers to any temporary endeavor with a definite beginning and end. Depending on its complexity, it can be managed by a single person or hundreds. Examples are bridge construction, a housing project, and a railway line. Now, what are the characteristics of a project? Now, as you can see, a project should have a clear start date and an end date. So just now we saw in the definition that it's a temporary endeavor. So it has to have a clear start date and a finish date. A project has boundaries in them. So boundaries will be seeing that later. And every project is unique, which is something that did not previously exist. A project operates within certain constraints of time, money, quality, and functionality. So these are the primary characteristics of a project. Now, what are the project constraints or boundaries? Now, there are three basic constraints, which is the scope, the schedule, and the resources. Fourth one can be also added, which is the people. So if these three constraints are managed smoothly, we would be able to execute the project without any delay or without any changes in schedule and other things and so on. So if there is any one change in any of these constraints, the project will get delayed and it would increase its value. Let's just say if we do not define the scope on the early stages of the project itself, the schedule of the project may increase and the resource allocation allotted to the project may increase. So any change in the constraints will affect the other constraints also. Thereby, it will affect the whole project. Now, project life cycle. Now, as you can see, there are five stages in the project life cycle, which is the initiation, planning, execution, control, and the closure. Now, initiation is the first stage of the project. Now, generally here, we take what is called as the project charter, which is the project document as a whole. We define its goals, we define its key characteristics, we assign the key members to the project, and so on. So this is the first stage. Second stage is the planning. Now, planning serves as a roadmap to the project. So without planning, we cannot go further in execution of the project. So the planning will contain the project scope statement, which is the definition of the project as a whole. So that is the project scope statement. The work breakdown structure, as in what works should be done at what period of time. And finally, the Gantt chart view. So a Gantt chart view will be seeing it in more detail in the project planning using MSP section. Third thing is execution. So once the scope is defined, the work breakdown structure is defined, and other key members are allotted to this work, we'll start executing the project. So that is the execution. Fourth stage is control. So during the process of execution itself, stage by stage or certain during at regular intervals of time, we need to control and monitor the project. So that is why we have this fourth stage, in which we can have the activity tracking, the goal tracking, and the budget tracking. We could also check here if there's any constraint developed, or we can also have any kinds of milestones in them, so that milestones are basically important here during the control and monitoring stage, because that will easily help you to track the project here. So once if you complete the milestone then and there, so you can monitor the project progress thereby. So final stage is the closure, in which you will develop the project analysis as a whole. Where did we go wrong? How much time did you take? Is there any remaining cost or something like that? All you'll have a complete and a detailed analysis that will take place. And finally, with all those analysis, you will have it in a written format, which is the project report. And once it is done, the entire project will be handed over to the concerned client or the stakeholder. Now we have different project management methodologies. So first one you can see, which is the waterfall technique. So waterfall technique is one of the most traditional PM methodology that we are using. So it is widely used in the constructive industry right now. The second image which you can see here is the critical path method, which can also be called as CPM. So in waterfall method, the disadvantage of the waterfall method is actually an advantage in the CPM, which is instead of having a sequential process, you can eliminate certain steps. You can follow only a definite amount of steps and reach the target. So that is the advantage that we have in CPM over the waterfall method. Because in waterfall method, without you cannot complete one task before going to the next task. So that is the major disadvantage that there. So that disadvantage has been made as an advantage here. So next thing is the critical chain project management methodology. So this is again an improvement over the CPM. Critical chain project management is also shortly referred as CCM. There's one disadvantage again, which in the CPM, where we have it as an advantage in CCM. So that is in CPM, we have what is called as a buffer. So that buffer accumulates at the when you're nearing the target of the project. So that buffer, you will not be executing the buffer after each and every task. So that keeps accumulating, and only after the entire task is completed, we will be able to go for the buffers. But in the critical chain method, we'll be, after completing each and every task, we'll be able to analyze and rectify that buffer after completing that particular task, and then we can also move on to the other task. The fourth one that we see here is the Project Management Institute's PIM book. So this is basically the gold standard of the project management. This is very widely used here. So Project Management Institute is an American company. Finally, we have Scrum methodology, which is being used in softwares and non-construction related activities. We have other project management methodologies such as Prince2, Kanban, Extreme Programming, Adaptive Project Framework, Event Chain Management, Six Sigma, Lean methodology. Now, if you see here, the waterfall technique, the critical path method, and the critical chain method are sequential and predictive methodologies in which the subsequent steps can be easily predicted. The Scrum methodology, the Prince, the Kanban, the adaptive framework, and the event chain management are agile methodologies. There's also one thing which is called as the hybrid project management methodology, where all these techniques can be combined and we can create our own project management methodology. But we need to make sure that the two groups that I mentioned right now, which is sequential and agile, they cannot be combined together because both operate in the opposite manner. Okay, so moving on to the next section, which is the project planning. Project planning is a crucial stage that comes right after initiation in project management phases. Through project planning, you streamline the entire project into series of steps and ensure the availability of resources on time. Project constraints such as time, scope, and cost are discussed in project planning process, and mitigation plans are developed after identification of potential risks. By comparing the actual progress with the project plan, you can also monitor the performance of your team and take the necessary steps to improve it. Project management is a roadmap that determines in advance what, when, how, and who will take the necessary actions to accomplish the established project objectives. Now, why do we need a project plan? In this image, you can see the 10 questions that we generally ask to a planner. So project planning plays an essential role in helping guide stakeholders, sponsors, teams, and the project management through project phases. Planning is needed to identify desired goals, reduce risks, avoid missed deadlines, and ultimately deliver the agreed product, service, or the result. Project plan also serves as a reference point to the project. Now, when you're stuck in between somewhere in the middle of a project, you can always refer to the project plan to to get back on track to the project. No, just like the 5 stages that we had in the project, we also have about 9 stages here in planning a project. So as you can see, it starts with identifying the stakeholders, defining roles and responsibilities, hold kickoff meeting, define project scope, budget, timeline, set and prioritize goals, define deliverables, create a project schedule, do a risk assessment, and communicate the project plan. Now we'll see all these in detail. So identifying the stakeholders. Now the project stakeholders basically include your customers, your end users of the project, the company leaders, and so on. So the ones who are directly working on the project will be the stakeholders of the project. Now defining roles and responsibilities. Now once you have identified all your stakeholders, you need a specific person to start kickstart the project planning phase, which is you can identify a person who's having a subjective knowledge. Let's just say if he's more or has more knowledge on transportation engineering, and if it's a transportation project, we can use him to gain the knowledge and do the necessary planning here. So as like that, so we need to define those roles and responsibilities for the person. Now hold a kickoff meet. The kickoff meet is a chance to bring all the stakeholders together, cast a vision for the project, cast a vision for the product. So during this kickoff meet, we'll completely say that this is how we are going to proceed. This is going to be our plan, and these are the steps that we generally are going to take. And this will be like like a zeroth review of the project. Now define project scope, budget, and timeline. Now, what is a project scope? The project scope tells what we are going to do. Given the request of a customer and the visions discussed by the team, what are the objectives of the project? So basically, the project scope will answer to the question on what are the objectives of this project. Budget. Taking into account the scope and the resources required to meet the project objectives, what is the expected financial cost of the project? Timeline. The project timeline itemizes the phases of your project and the length of the time you can reasonably expect them to be completed. So as you can see, these are again the project constraints that we have. If we manage them smoothly, the project will get executed in a quicker way without any delay in them. A set and prioritize goal. Now you can see here in the second image, we have what is called as a SMART and clear goals. So SMART stands for the abbreviation specific, measurable, achievable, results oriented, and time bound. Clear stands for collaborative, limited, engaging, actionable, and refinable. So you need to set goals according to these standards here, so that it can clearly communicate to the stakeholder and to the entire project team that this is what I'm going to do. This is what our target is. So we should achieve. We should set our goals. We should prioritize our goals in such a way that this target is achieved. So define deliverables. A deliverable is defined as a project by the Project Management Institute, which is any unique or verifiable product, result, or capability to perform a service that is produced to complete a process, phase, or the project. So that is the deliverable. Let's just say you're constructing a railway station. In that, you need to have the platform, you need to have the tracks, you need to have the proper signaling systems. So those are the deliverables. So at the end of the day, this entire railway station project would be submitted to the government or the private player. So all these things are the deliverables here. So seventh is the creating a project schedule. Now this is one of the most important steps here, because without this you cannot proceed further in doing your project. So you need to have the resources, the goals organized in such a way that it completes in a specific amount of time, so that you do not deviate from the project, so on. So that is one of the most important things here. Then you have the risk assessment. As you can see here in this matrix, this is the risk matrix that we can call. So based on your project schedule, the deliverables and the goals, you need to do a risk assessment. So this is basically as and when you define the scope itself, logically you can think of certain risks, or maybe this risk is it might occur, so this risk won't occur. So based on that, how much impact that this risk will produce to your project, and how your project will get affected. So you need to monitor that things here. So that is why we do the risk assessment here. And finally, once everything is done, you need to communicate the project plan to the entire team, to the stakeholders, saying that these are all the things that we are going to do. So let us start doing, and finally we'll go to the project planning, project execution stage. Now, what is a project status report? A project status report is a document that describes the progress of a project within specified time period and compares it with the actual project plan. Project status reports allows the project managers and stakeholders to visualize project data through charts and graphs. Project status reports are taken repeatedly throughout every phase of the project's execution as a means to maintain your schedule and keep everyone on the same page. The status report for a project will generally include the following: the work that has been completed, the plan for what will follow, the summary of the project budget and schedule, a list of action items, any issues and risks, and what's being done about them. A true value for a project status report lies beyond its use as a communication channel. So basically, every certain after a certain period of time, we this comes under the monitoring stage basically. So after every certain period of time, we will prepare what is the project status report. So this can be visualized by creating a baseline in the Microsoft projects. So it's the same, so that you can basically track your project with the help of the project status report. So this is a typical sample of a project status report. You'll have the status report number, you'll have the name of the project manager, you will have the scope of the project, a short summary of the project, milestones, and budget, general information, any issues and risks that are that were there, and what are the necessary steps that were taken, and any other recommendations. So the second image that you can see is actually from the MSP itself. So the key elements that will basically be included here are the general project information, general status report, milestone review, project summary, issues and risks, and the project metrics. Now, attributes of a good planner. A good planner must have the following attributes. He must be proactive, he must be communicative, he must be consistent, he must be organized, he must be an open-minded person, and he must be a learner. Now, proactive in the sense he should come out. He should take the necessary risks or other things and maintain the project. The entire team's enthusiasm. So that is the that. So a project planner must be proactive. Now, communication is one of the most important part here. So if you do not be communicative, you will not know what is exactly happening within your team or what the stakeholder wants. So there'll be a misunderstanding or misinterpretation in certain things. So that is why a good project planner must be communicative. He must be consistent. So inconsistency, generally it's a human tendency that we may not be inconsistent. We may not be consistent, I'm sorry, but we need to make sure that we stay on the same level. Now, he must be also organized. He must be an open-minded person. So meaning that whatever may be the case, he should learn to quickly adapt to that situation or communicate and so on. Now, he must be a learner. So age is no matter for a person to learn. So whatever new risks or whatever new elements that might be included in a project, so that can be learned here. Finally, we have the pitfalls in project planning, which is the wrong estimates. So wrong estimates in the sense everything here is either underestimated or overestimated. Let's just say the amount of resources that you put for a project that will be overestimated, or you will have. Hello. Okay, so that will be, you'll have additional resources, which is basically waste of money, and you sometimes have very less amount of resources for that particular project. So that is the wrong estimates, not defining the project scope early on. So this is one of the major things that causes pitfalls in the project planning, because if you do not define what are the goals or what the project should actually do, its objectives and so on, and later on if you decide it's going to be a complete waste. So you should, as far as possible during the planning stage itself, or when you're documenting the project charter itself, you need to have the project scope and its objectives ready with you. Third thing is not understanding the project requirements. So this is basically, this is basically allied with the wrong estimates. So you do not, you may be lacking resources, you may be lacking person to execute that project, or you may even lack fund. So depending upon the the targets and the deliverables of the project, we will not be able sometimes the planner will not be able to allocate the additional the resources to a project. So that is where we do not understand the project requirements. Setting unrealistic deadlines. So during the kickoff meeting itself, the stakeholder or the client will basically communicate saying that I would need the project to be handed over to me by certain periods of time. So during the planning stage itself, we'll develop a project schedule. Where we'll list the tasks and what all should be completed within this amount of time. So that should be in match to the what the stakeholder communicates. So he may there can be slacks here, but the slack shouldn't be too much such that the project keeps delaying a lot. So that shouldn't be happen. Not identifying the limitations. assigning wrong roles to such as let's just say a mechanical engineer or someone is assigned wrongly to monitor concreting and other civil and the civil course related activities. So you cannot assign wrong person here, so that would lead to mistakes. And finally, not monitoring the project progress, so that is also one thing. So then and there, if we communicate this has been the work done, these were the issues that we faced, these were the milestones that we achieved. So then and there, if we communicate, it's the project will go on smooth. If we do not know that, we would not know at what exact stage we are in, so that may again cause a delay in each and everything. The project constraints would become huge, everything will go out of hand. So these are the pitfalls in project planning. So the last in the project planning section is the future of project planning. This is basically in the research stage. So I frankly do not know more on this one. When I was, doing this, preparing this presentation, there were only very limited resources here, so which was beyond my scope to understand it. So I've just listed down the what are the tools and the techniques that would shape the project management and planning in the future. So one is artificial intelligence, organizational project management, virtual project teams. This one can be, linked to the present scenario where we are in sitting at our homes and with the Google Meet or the Zoom meetings or any other software where we are able to communicate freely. So this is the virtual project teams. Methodologies are, like I said, you can have so many methodologies combined and you can create your own project methodology technique to your project, as in it should be feasible to your project to execute it. So, and then you must have emotional intelligence, lifelong learning, and project managers are in demand. So basically, when everything becomes computerized, this the last point would actually be very realistic. So yes. Okay, so moving on to the third part, which is the work breakdown structure, or simply known as WBS. So, definition: breaking work into smaller tasks is a commonly productive technique used to make the work more manageable and approachable. The Project Management Institute defines the work breakdown structure as deliverable oriented hierarchical decomposition of the work to be executed by the project team. That is, you'll let's just say you have um, a huge task. Let's just say you're building a railway station. Again, as taking the same example, uh, you can break it down saying that one team can be dedicated to do the platforms, one team can do the electrical work, one team can do the finishing tasks, and one team can lay the railway lines, one team can check the speakers, the announcement systems, and so on. So basically breaking down the entire project into more structured part is the work breakdown structure. Now, decomposition. So this is one of the most important things that we need to know in a work breakdown structure. So decomposition is a core tool and technique in all of the WBS effort. It is the process of breaking the project scope and the deliverables into smaller and more manageable components. Decomposition is usually performed in top-to-down manner as expressed in WBS. It is an iterative process and it is done till the scope baseline is reached. The lowest level of decomposition is a work package. Work packages are scheduled, cost, estimated, and controlled. Decomposition proceeds until this component is reached. Now each of you'll be breaking, as said here, you'll be breaking down the entire project objectives into um, smaller and smaller and smaller parts where we can manage it. So the work package here is basically the last part of the decomposition. So we should remember this in mind. So now we have the types of work breakdown structure. There are two types here. One is delivery based and one is phase based. As the name suggests, if the work breakdown structure is broken down as accordance to the deliverables of the project, then it is delivery based. Or if the work breakdown structure is broken down on the basis of the phases of a project, it is then called as a phase based. So this image you can clearly see here. In the first image we have the delivery based WBS, and in the second image we have the phase based WBS, where each and every uh, you know uh, the whole project is broken down into phases such as design, procurement, construction, inspections, and turnover. So those are all the phases for the project construction of a house. Now, why do we need a work breakdown structure? So there are three primary reasons that we need the work breakdown structure. Uh, the first is that it helps us to more accurately and specifically define and organize the scope of the total project. The most common way that this is done by using the tree structure. Each level, uh, each level of this structure breaks the project deliverables or the objectives into more specific and measurable chunks. The second reason for using a WBS in your project is to help assigning responsibilities, resource allocation, monitoring the project, and controlling the project. The WBS makes the deliverables more precise and concrete so that the project teams knows exactly what has to be accomplished within each deliverable. This also allows for better estimating of cost, risk, and time, because you can work from smaller tasks back up to the level of the entire project. Finally, it allows you to double check all the deliverables specifics with the stakeholders and make sure that there is no missing or overlapping. Okay, so moving on to the structures of the work breakdown structure. So there are four parts: top level, the control accounts, the work packages, and the activities. So if you can see in the first picture here, this construction of a house, this is basically the project title. So this can be called as the level one or the top level for your project. I'm sorry, the construction of the house is basically the zeroth level, not the level one. Apologies for that. Or this is the project title. Now, level one, as you can see, is internal, foundation, and the external. Uh, and as you break down or as you decompose each of these phases, you will get the work packages. So that is the structure of the WBS, and each column in the WBS is actually known as a leg. Now, how important is a work breakdown structure? WBS creation is the starting point of project planning. It is done at a very early stage of the project planning itself. It provides a framework and a pathway or a roadmap on how to proceed further, how to take or make decisions. It fosters communication with the stakeholders, helps to establish relation with other breakdown structures. It increases clarity around roles and responsibilities. It helps to ensure that all tasks are completed properly and on time. It enables the tracking of the team members and the deliverables throughout the project as they are organized. Now, interaction with WBS with other breakdown structures. So we have other breakdown structures such as the cost breakdown structure, or the organizational breakdown structure, or the resource breakdown structure, or the risk breakdown structure. There are other breakdown structures, in a project. So basically, when the project becomes more and more complex, we will have multiple interactions with the other breakdown structures. So WBS and OBS can be combined together, or WBS, as you can see in the third picture, WBS, OBS, RBS, and CBS are combined together to give you the outcome of the project. So if the project is way more simpler, you can just go ahead with the WBS itself. Or if the project becomes more and more and complex, and you have so many tasks, you have so many resources that are allocated for a project, you need to definitely start the WBS should be framed in such a way that it should interact with the other breakdown structures in a project, so that the project will move in a smooth manner and execute, and there will be no problem in the execution for the project. Now we have the different views of the work breakdown structure. The first view is basically a general view of the work breakdown structure, which is the tree view. As you can see, it basically resembles like our family tree. So that is the work breakdown structure. As you can see, this is the zeroth level. This is the level one, and finally these are the activities, and the last row here is the work package. The second is the tabular view. The third is the outline view. So outline the outline view is more you can see that in the MSP actually. So if you can see the MSP, the work breakdown structure would be in the outline view only. The fourth one is the flowchart view. Now, what can be included in a work breakdown structure? WBS dictionary. So this is one of the most important documents that defines various elements of the work breakdown structure. It is an important component of the WBS because it allows project participants and stakeholders to understand the phases, deliverables, and the work package with more clarity. Task number and description. Giving each task a number makes it easy to identify them. A description will help define what the task is, will provide the direction for the team when it is time to execute it. Task owner. The owner is the person, organization, or the department who oversees the task from the assignment to the completion and ensures that it has been properly executed. Task dependency. Some of the tasks on path to the final deliverable will have to wait until another task is done or started before, or they can begin. This is called as task dependency. So this can be seen with more clarity when we are talking about the MSP in the MSP section. Cost of the task. So every task is going to have a cost associated with it. So you need to note down what is the budget for the task. Start, finish, and estimated completion of the task. Add the start and the finish date for each of the tasks, and estimate the time you have on your schedule to execute it. Task status. The status of the task will show whether it is assigned or not, in progress, late, or complete, which helps in the tracking. So this is the picture of the work breakdown structures dictionary, where you can see you have the work package number, the date of update, the deliverables of the project, the resources assigned, duration of the project, any milestone, cost, due date, any task dependencies that we have. And this is the typical Gantt chart view. So for creating a work breakdown structure, these are the things you need to basically have. Gather all critical documents, identify the key team members, define the level 1 elements, decompose all those elements, create a WBS dictionary, create a Gantt chart schedule, and assign those tasks. So after you identify those key members, you can start assigning the particular task, so that to the key members who are basically having a thorough and a rich knowledge of that subject, so that the project can get smoothly executed. Now, tips for making a good breakdown structure, work breakdown structure, is that use the 100% rule. So every time make sure that that particular task is basically gets 100% completed, and after that only you move to the other and the subsequent tasks. A mutually exclusive one. Certain types of mostly the tasks will be will not overlap with each other. So those needs to be mutually exclusive. So if we there can be overlapping of the task also, but generally we prefer to do a mutually exclusive task. So we need to define the outcomes of the project and not its actions, and use the 8 by 80 rule. So which here the 8 stands for the effort and the 80 stands for the outcome. So if you put in 8% of the effort that is required for the execution of the project, you can expect about 80% of the result or the outcome for that project. And you can make 3 levels for the project, as you can see in the second picture here: level 1, level 2, and level 3. So you can decompose your the work breakdown structure in such a way. And finally, make assignments. Do proper assigning for the project here with the key members that are allocated for in your team. Finally, we have the pitfalls in the work breakdown structure. The level of work package details. Sometimes this may, not be clearly defined as we go on decomposing it. So we may sometimes miss one or two work, the details here. So the work packages or the deliverables here. So that has to be noted here. The second thing is that the deliverables are not activities, are tasks. So they, as we already saw earlier, those are the results or the products that comes out of after executing a project. So WBS is not a plan or a schedule. So this is basically a roadmap here, in which you can easily, this can be actually used as only as a reference point. You cannot use it as a complete plan here, or a scheduling. You cannot do scheduling with the work breakdown structure. WBS updates require change control. Now, every project planning team has a change control board. So if there's in between, if there's any change that has to be made, you need to take it forward to the change control board, and then only you need to, after their nod, or after their green signal only, you can update it in the WBS. So this is one of the crucial things here. And finally, WBS is not an organizational hierarchy. So WBS can sometimes basically differs from project to project. It need not be same for each and every project. So with this, I end my part here. So handing it over to my friend Kishore.
Thank you, Jyothir Aditya Skandan, for your very good explanation. Now, every theory needs an application. Only then we can gain a complete knowledge. So, keeping all these things which my friend has explained in the previous slides, we are going to see the software part now, the MS Project software part. We are going to see the simple tips and the simple settings for creation of a clean and clear project. So this is first what we need to know is that the project is not a very absurd thing. The project software is exactly similar to the one which we are acquainted with, Excel work. It is a simple Excel thing only, but it contains some additional features which are required to create a project. So the interface is not a very different thing. It is completely like an Excel sheet only. So to create exploring the user interface. To create a project plan, we just need to click the file tab, and as it is displayed in the image, we need to click new and click the blank project or any other template which we want. Basically, for a simple project, we'll be taking the blank project slide. Next slide. Here are some of the, before going to the software part, what are its features and its limitations. There are 5 to 6 pros and with a couple of cons, that's it. The first thing is the project creates budget based on assignment work and resource rates. The Microsoft project has a very good advantage that it can not only be used as a simple project scheduling one, but can also be used as a cost and estimation application thing. Next is resources. Resources are people, equipment, and material. We'll be seeing this in the forthcoming slides. Next, each resource has its own calendar. The main part here is calendar, without which we cannot create a complete schedule. Next thing is MSP can help in finalizing the scope of the project. It helps in identifying the activities. As we said, it creates both time and cost estimates. Just two simple cons is that it cannot conceptualize or define project objectives. This depends on the user logic and understanding of the project. What we need to do is that we only need to feed all the inputs right from the drawing, approval of drawing, excavation, and all the scheduling things. We only need to manually give the input. It cannot conceptualize on its own. So that is a one. Another thing is that it pre-assumes that there are additional physical raw materials that are always available without any limit. MSP do not know what is the location. I mean, what is the location and what are the resources available in that particular location. Sometimes the resources may be out of stock, so MSP cannot predict that. Only we have to manually do that. The next slide. Next slide. The basic settings before starting a project. Only after setting these basic things, if we start creating the new task, it will be much more easy for us. We need not change every time going back to the settings and going back to the options and changing all the things. Once before starting a project itself, we need to set some of the basic things. The three such things are here. The general thing. We need to go to the project options. General, default view, in what view we are going to see the MSP. The default view, which is widely used as a gun quick timeline. We will be seeing there are many types of views. We will be seeing all the images in the last slides. Next, we need to create a date format, and then going below we options and display. We are going to see we are going to set the calendar type and the currency. Based upon the country we are working, we'll be setting up the currency. For example, in India, INR, for example, USA, USD dollars. Next, the scheduling things. We need to set the start time, hours per day, hours per week, and days per month. All these things we have to schedule it, and only then we need to start a project. Next thing, next slide, please. Here is the simple interface of the basic blank project. Here we can see in the left image, we can see all the things. It is exactly similar to a Excel sheet. We all here have a quick access toolbar, which is a area of interface where we can add our frequently used commands such as cut, copy, paste, and all these things. And the tell me box is just a simple help kind of feature. Then the ribbon thing is that it contains all the commands which we use to perform actions in the project. Then the group is that it is a collection of related commands, and the commands is they are specific features which we use to perform actions in the project. Then below the view or report label and the status bar and the shortcuts and the zoom slider is there. Next slide. Then the most important thing, that is the calendar. The calendar, it is a primary mean by which we can control each and every task, and its resource can be also scheduled for work in the project. The calendar, it is not only a single type which the MS project contains. It has 3 calendars. One is 24 hours calendar, and another thing is night shift calendar, and another thing is the standard calendar. Standard calendar is the thing which is defaultly used. The 24 hours calendar, if we click that, it has no non-working time. And the night shift, it covers a late night shift schedule. If our project contains a late night shift based things, we need to go for a night shift. And standard is that this is widely used for all the major activities. That is a traditional working day and week. That's Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. with a 1 hour break each day. And things. The only thing is that MSP contains, MSP sets the default the Sunday, only the Sunday as the holiday. Rest from Monday to Saturday, it is created as it is set as a working day. It is coded like that. If we need to manually set the working day and non-working day, which will be seeing the next slides. Next slide. Next slide, please. And what I said the previous thing is that if we do the, if we create the set the standard calendar as the base calendar for which we are going to work, MSP has a standard thing that is it creates. It is coded that in such a way that only Sundays are depicted as holidays. Even if we create a weekly schedule which is continuing to next week, MSP automatically schedules from Monday to Saturday, and Monday to Friday. Saturday and Sundays are holidays. So the next thing, it will be going to the project. It will be automatically postponed to Monday to Friday of the next week. So we need to change the working time dialog notes. It is for our own convenience. Usually, some of the projects may take from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. and then we need to we'll be having a 1 hour break or 2 hour break. So keeping all these things in mind, whatever the thing it is suitable for a project, we need to mention there. This is the left hand image. The left image is a standard dialog box which sets the normal working schedules and working time exceptions for the individual resources or the entire plan. A common example is that the recurring holidays which follows a pattern that is a Saturday or Sunday holiday, or every project. Some of the projects may take
Kishore, your voice is not audible.
Friday has a holiday. Every Friday, all of the working time changes in working time. That is from. Sorry, I will continue. What is the resource? Means that it means either working people or a material or a JCB kind of things. For JCB means if it demands only a heat hour per day, we need to manually schedule for that. So that is a unique working hours for resource. Next slide, please. So set the non-working days in the project calendar. That is the Sunday or Saturday will be a default holiday. But unexpectedly, if Monday or Tuesday is announced as holiday, or if a government holiday falls on Wednesday or Thursday, we need to manually schedule because project doesn't know. So it is mentioned in the dialog box, which is on the right side. For example, if June 21 Thursday, that is 10th of June is should be a holiday, we need to go we need to click the exceptions, and we need to click the 10th date, and below the exceptions we need to name it as a holiday or whatever name you want, and the start date and finish date. So, if a single day is a holiday, the start date and finish date should be same, and we need to click OK. That is the thing which I have given in the left side, all the points. Next slide. Then setting work time for a working week. We need to select work weeks options, and we need to choose the events and select days from Monday to Saturday. And then we need to set dates to the specific times. That is from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and then 1 to 6 or whatever thing we want. Then we should mention all these time slots. And as we click OK, it will be directly applied to the standard project calendar. Next slide. Then after all these basic settings only, we need to create the task. That is we need to go back to the Excel sheet like page, and only then we need to start creating the task. There are some one or two basic guidelines for creating a task name. It should not be too lengthy. It should be precise, one or two words, so that the user, both the user and the client, will be able to take it up so easily. It should not be a lengthy sentence. It should be short and crispy. That is the thing. We need to use the short work phrases that describe the work to be done, such as excavation or substructure or concreting. These are the simple things which it is easy for both the user and the client to interpret the things. Then we should not repeat the same names below the below the subtasks, each and every subtask, because if we enter the same names, it will create a slight confusion. What task should come first, what task should come next. It will create a slight confusion. So we need to give a unique name to each and every subtask. So it will not create any confusion, and it adds some clarity also. So to enter the task name, we need to clear just like the Excel sheet. There, click the empty cell under the task name column. Enter the task name and press the enter key after each one. Next slide, please. Here are given the just the steps to create a new task within a task list, and what is the step to delete it. Just right click and click delete, and to enter the task duration. After entering the task names, you need to enter the duration, right? So we need to under the duration column, it will be appeared next to the task name. Under the duration column, we need to click a cell against the task name. You need to enter duration value, that is start date to end date, and the project initially sets all new tasks that have a duration value to start at the project start date. Next slide, please. And the milestone task. What is a milestone task? Is that it is a significant event that are either reached within the plan. The simple thing is that if phase one, if a project contains 4 phases, it is distributed to 4 stages of completion. If the phase 1 is completed, we need to have a certain indicator, right, for us to know that the phase 1 is completed. So we'll be just allotting a name under the, as a just as the task. It is, we'll be going to, we'll set it as we will set it as a milestone task, so that that is just an indicator. That is not itself a task. So the duration of that is 0 days only. MS project, if we select a task and make it as a milestone thing, the project automatically schedules as a 0 day task, because it is not a task, but it is an indicator, only an indicator that the phase 1 of the project is completed. So how to identify a milestone task in the interface is that the Gantt chart symbol appears as a diamond rather than a bar, which could be seen in the forthcoming slides. Actually, the next slide, please. Here, see the left side image. The black pre-construction phase is that it is a summary task. That all the below things is that they are slightly indented to right side, which indirectly indicates that it comes under the pre-construction phase. That is a phase 1. Under the phase 1, there is a center line drawing, architectural drawing, structural and electrical drawing. And next, see the red indicated part. It is approval of drawing, that is 0 days. That is a milestone task. Against it, if we see the slightly, if you slightly move to the right side, it will have a diamond bar. That indicates that it is a milestone task. That is, it's only an indicator that the phase 1, that is the pre-construction phase, under which the 4 drawings are already completed. It is indirectly indicating that it is the pre-construction phase is completed. So I have given the how to enter a milestone task and how to mark the task of any duration as a milestone. These are just the points to be noted. Next slide, please. Then creating the summary tasks to outline the plan. If we create all the tasks in unanimously single below each one, it will create it will be a vague thing. So we need to split each and every project as a one or two phases or multiple phases, so that it could be easy for us to identify and track the projects. That is where the summary task comes handy. As we saw earlier, the summary task it is made up of it summarizes the subtasks which are intended below its plan outline. In the right side image which we see, there is a thing which is mentioned in green, the public launch phase. That is a summary task under which the subtasks are entered. That is the distributed account policy and all these. So for each and every project, if we create summary tasks, it will be easy for us to identify. Another thing that it is automatically scheduled. I mean, if we name the task, if we create in a cell as a summary task, it will be automatically scheduled. We need not enter all the subtasks dates in the summary task duration. That what I mean to say is that we create a public launch phase. Under that, subtask 1, subtask 2, and all these things we create. For example, if the task subtask 1 takes 2 days and the task 2 take 6 days, we need not manually enter in the summary task that it takes 6 plus 2, 8 days. It will be once we enter the duration against the subtask 1 and 2, it will be automatically updated to the summary task as 6 plus 2, 8 days. When a summary task is manually scheduled, its duration will be calculated based on its subtask, just like the duration of an automatically scheduled summary task. Next slide, please. Here are the things, here are the steps to promote task to a summary task and to insert a new summary task within a task list and to demote a summary task to a task. These are just the steps to be followed. Next slide. And the indenting task. Under the summary task, we need to indent the task towards the right. So you can see in the left image, the main task is summary task, under which subtask 1, 2, and 3 are indented towards right, which indicates that it comes under the main task. That is the summary task. So what we need to do is that we need to enter the main task and subtask in the task name column. We need to drag the subtask, we need to select all the subtasks and click Alt, Shift, and right. The subtasks are then indented under the main task. Another thing we can do is that this is Alt plus Shift plus right is a shortcut. If you want to do manually, we need to, if you see in the top navigation column, there is a format under which 0, 25% and 50% are there. Under which there is a arrow mark showing left and right. So if we click on the right side, it will be indented. It will be indented towards right. If we need not, if we need to remove the changes, we need to click the left side so that it is it remains the same. Next slide, please. Then recurring task. We know that recurring is that if a thing is periodically happening every week or that. The basic example is that if a project contains a supervisor, if the supervisor is allotted in such a way that you have to supervise the project, how far the project goes. You need to go to the field and supervise the project every once a week. If we are till every once a week till the project gets over. If such things are given, then we need to schedule this under the recurring task things again, because we need not enter the same task under after each and every week. Once if we mention a task under a recurring task and we create and we save it, it will be automatically reflected on the forthcoming days. So that it is a very handy feature for very big projects also. For that, what we need to do is that we need to select the recurring task under the task option You need to enter the task name, select the recurring pattern. That is, the recurring pattern is, if you see the left hand image, under the recurrence pattern, it shows radio buttons, daily, weekly, or monthly, or yearly. And then whether it should recur every once in a week or twice in a week, or Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, everything we can customize. That is a basic plus point in MS project. Next slide, please. Then the most important thing is that we need to link tasks to create the dependencies. All the things, we need not to wait for the basic example. What can be given is that let's say that we construct a house and it is completed. After the completion stage, it's near the completion stage. There are the things that are left only are electrical and the painting works. Both the things are completely independent. You need not wait for the electrical work to be done, so that only then the painting work can be done. The exterior painting work can be done simultaneously. The interior electrical work can also be done. So to set all these things, here the project comes handy. They have given the four relationships. That is that finish to start. If the thing, if task one is finished, only after the task one is finished, the task two is started. Now we can. There is an example. See, a book chapter must be written before it can be edited. Only after editing, only after writing all the chapters, it can be edited. So these are the basic examples. And then start to start, either two tasks under summary task can start on the same date, irrespective of the finished task, finished dates, and finish to finish, and start to finish. These are the four most very important things, because only if we objectify this into the project software, the project duration will not go beyond our hands. If we wait for one thing, one subtask to be happened only after the another thing, our entire project goes beyond our duration, which is which cannot be possible both for the client and for the contractor. So in most of the projects, either at least two of these things will be marked. So when you link the task, you create scheduling relationship between the task. Its task relationship are called dependencies, as the start of this task is dependent upon the completion of the prior task, as I said. Then creating dependencies by linking tasks is crucial to getting the full benefit, as I said, of the project scheduling engine. Next slide, please. Here are some steps to link and unlink the task. We need to select the name of the task, and the tasks are not, adjacent. As we know, similar thing we do in Excel. We need to click the, hold the control key and select the task. And then after selecting the task, we need to go to the task tab. In the schedule group, we need to click the link, the selected task button, and then the project links the task with a finish to start relationship. Same thing, to unlink the task, we need to select whatever things we need to unlink, and under the schedule, we need to click the unlink button. The next slide, please. Switch tasks from manual to automatic. There are two things. Either the project, if we set the mode to automatic scheduling, it will the project automatically calculates the duration from the start to finish dates and all that. And if we manually wish to schedule, we need to we need to schedule each and every task. Project by default it sets new tasks to be manually scheduled only. We only need to go to the settings and change the manual to automatic. Work with manually scheduled tasks. We need to work with manually scheduled tasks to quickly capture some details, but without scheduling the tasks. We need to work. We can also work with automatically scheduled tasks to take the full advantage of this project, which is a very handy thing. We need not enter if the project schedule contains 2000 lines, we cannot go for each and every line and enter the task. Enter the duration of the task. If we create automatic scheduling, if we click automatic scheduling, the project itself will make such things easy for us. So we can make use of this things. Next slide, please. Then here are some steps to switch a single task from manual to automatic task scheduling. We need to what are the steps we need to do, and instead of a single task, we need to go with several tasks. What are the things we need to do, and to switch the currently open plan from manual to automatic scheduling. These are the steps. Next slide, please. Next, the important thing, that resources. Once after the entire project is scheduled, we need to there is a separate sheet that is also similar to Excel sheet. That is inbuilt in the project. That is a first thing. Before this is one of the major features of the MS project. It is not only a project planner alone. It also helps us in cost and estimation. So that is where we'll be doing the estimation and cost. It will be reflected in the resource sheet, which will be seen. What is the resource? As I said earlier, it refers to the people involved in the project. The supervisor, the daily wages people, and then the equipment, the materials used, the cost and associated the cost associated with the project. The MS project contains, it recognizes only the three types of resources: the work resource, the material resource, and the cost resource. The work resource is the person, such as a plumber or a supervisor. They can be assigned on a daily wages work or something like that. And then the material means in civil terms it is sand, cement, and aggregate. Then the cost. What are the cost of the material and the work resource? That is a JCB, and for daily wage people, what are the costs we need to plan? All these things we can beforehand itself we can make a plan using the resource sheet. There is one, as it is mentioned here, there is one limitation in MSP. That is a natural thing. We will always consider that there are ample and infinite resources available in the field. We will not be able to calculate the actual availability of the resources in the field or on site. So we need to manually plot each and everything. Next slide, please. Here we have if you see the left image, this is the resource sheet. How to get about is that on the view, if we click the view tab, there will be a resource view group, and under which we need to choose the resource sheet. In the resource name field, we need to type what the job, the title or material or the resource name. If you see the left image, under the resource name, it is typed as cement, sand, and aggregate. That is a material thing, and transport, and the JCB and supervisor. And next is that it is mentioned as a material. What is the type? It is a sand, cement, and aggregate comes under material. Transport comes under the cost, and JCB supervisor comes under the work resources. And we can also give initials. Cement as initials. It is up to us. So for cement, we can simply name it as CEM or all such things. And then if we move to right side, it has a standard rate and the cost per use, and it is a prorated, or we need to manually do these things. We also need to specify the resource type. Next slide, please. Then whatever things I mentioned in the earlier slide, this is given as a point wise. That is what are the steps to enter the work resources names, and what to insert new work resource within a list, and what do we need to do what we need to do to delete a resource. All these steps to do these things in MSP. Next slide, please. These are also, the standard rate for a resource, and to enter a overtime rate for resource. This is, as I said earlier, this is simply like an Excel sheet only. If you just simply follow the steps, we'll get the result. Then, what we need to do to enter a cost per use for resource. All these are steps. Next slide, please. And over allocation of the work resource. This is one more important area. A resource is over allocated when it is assigned too much work to complete within the resource available time. For example, if a work resource that is if a JCB can work per day is set to 8 hours. If it is the work it is accumulating more than 8 hours per day, in such a way that if we create a plan, it is said to be over allocated. There is a solution also to come over this. To overcome this over allocation and to turn it as a normal thing. How to indicate? How it is indicated is that the over allocation is represented in red mark, which will be shown in the upcoming slides. Basically, the distinct causes, what causes this over allocation to be that there are three simple things which is listed here. The resource assigned to work full time or more than one task at the same time. So, as it is mentioned here, if a JCP does more than one task at a time, it is naturally it is over allocated. So it is in MS project it is presented in red. And then increase the duration of the task. If we increase the duration of the task, it will be indicating it as over allocated thing. And then decrease unit availability of resources. Next slide, please. See here in the thing, the mentioned thing is that it is natural, it is over allocated in the work schedule. So the MS project indicates that it is over allocated with the red mark symbol here. You can see it clearly. Next slide, please. Then how to overcome the problem of over allocation is that there are simple ways. The ways that we should click on the main icon, select the option to resource. We need to reschedule to the available date. Then increasing the unit availability from 100 to 200% or 300%. So that is what it is meant is that if one JCB is not enough to excavate land within the stipulated time of 8 hours per day, we can increase the JCB from 1 to, if there are 3 or 4 JCBs, it can very well do the excavation within the 8 hours time. So that is the thing. 100% is 1, 200% is 2, and 300% is it's just limits. Next slide, please. The baseline. This is one of the important things. That is, it is like a real-time tracking. The well-managed project often involves comparing a project to earlier version of it. This is the critical part of the tracking of the project. What is a baseline is that it is a group of nearly 20 primary reference points. That is start date, finish date, duration, work and cost estimate that you can set to record the original project plan when the plan is completed and defined. As the project progresses, we can also set additional baselines to help measure the changes in the plan. Because why we need to create a baseline is that the baseline provides the reference points against which we can compare the actual project progress. The baseline should include as the best estimates for the task duration and start and finish dates and cost and other project variables that we want to monitor. Setting up of the baseline that helps us in the real-time tracking and monitoring of the project. We can also view the project status with the actual project and what was initially planned for the project during the project planning stage. So we can very well compare both these things and we can real-time track the project. Next slide, please. And this is a step to create a baseline. We need to click the projects and baseline and pick the baseline which we want to set, and we need to select if we need to select for the entire project, and we need to select for the data. We need to select the radio dot button and then we should click OK. Next slide, please. In the forthcoming days of the project, after the start of the project, if we need to update the baseline for the entire project or we need to update the baseline for the selected task. These are some steps. And we need to, and there is a thing also to save multiple baselines also. As it is mentioned, we can save up to 11 baselines in a single plan. The first one is called baseline, and the rest are for easy navigation. For a baseline 1 through baseline 10. These are the red color things of the simple steps through which we can update a baseline and save multiple baselines. Next slide, please. Track plan by specific date, and if all tasks have started and are finished as scheduled, we can record this in the update project dialog box. Before that, we need to click the project tab status group, and we need to update the project so that we can track the plans by specific dates. Next slide. Here are simple tracking plans. This is for example, if we need to view it as a percentage complete, how far the percentage of the project is completed out of 100. We can also view that by any of these two methods which has been mentioned. Next slide, please. We can also track plans by actual values. For that, I mean, what I mean by actual value is that is actually start and finish day, that is the duration of the task. If we set a baseline for a project to be completed in 200 to 300 hours, in the current date, that is today, how far the project is completed, that is out of 200 hours, whether it is 60 hours completed or 70 completed, we can also real-time track that. That is one of the advantages of the baseline. Next slide, please. Here, after creating all these things, here are some major views. I mean, in which way we need to view the project. We can also view, here it is listed under the Gantt chart. Here all the things are listed as calendar, Gantt chart, network diagram, resource sheet, resource usage, and all these things. Next slide. Here, here is the Gantt chart. As you see below the image, it displays the task information as both text and graphic. The text is left and the graphics is right. That is a blue bar, which is the blue horizontal bar, which is mentioned. It displays the graphics in this way. It lists the task. It lists information about each task, and the Gantt bar chart displays the task duration and start and finish date on a time scale. If you see the blue bar, horizontal bar here, after which it mentions as the JCB or safety engineer and all these things. Next slide, please. And here comes the calendar view. If you see the image, it represents the task in a graphical manner on a day-to-day manner. The left-hand side it shows the calendar, and the right-hand side it displays blue bar for common tasks and black dot for milestone tasks. Dots show the span over the days or the weeks. Next slide. The tracking Gantt chart, that is similar to the Gantt chart only, in which we can there is an additional tracking thing also. That is how far you can see the image 100% is the addition for the Gantt chart. That is the tracking Gantt chart. Next slide, please. Then the another view that the resource graph, that is the resource that I mean the work or material resource or cost resource. We can also graphically view the resource things. It is a graphically displays graphically displays information about allocation or work or the cost resource over time. The resource sheet it displays the information about each resource, such as payment rate, the number of works assigned, and actual cost in a spreadsheet like format itself. And then the resource usage view, it displays the cost and work allocation information for each resource for a specific time period. Next slide, please. Then the team planner view comes very handy. We need to see what our team members are working on, what are the schedules. For example, what are the things a male coolie is working on is clearly mentioned in the team planner view. Next slide, please. And timeline. As you can see, it helps out when you need to report the big picture project information. That is, it is a professional looking snapshot of the key tasks and milestones that's good to go in any status meeting. Next slide, please. Then, after all these things, we have come for a report generation MSP. As you can see here, dashboards and the resource cost in progress and all these. Under all these things, we can view the reports in the forthcoming slides. Next slide, please. And the dashboard reports, it contains the burn down view, the cost overview, the project overview, the upcoming tasks, and work overview. All these things are just been listed as the description part. It's not self-explanatory things. Next slide, please. Then under the resource, we can also see the. I mean, we can also view the report as over allocated resource or resource overview. Next slide. And under the cost reports, the cash flow, it contains cash flow, cash cost overruns, and the earned value report, resource cost overview, and task cost overview. Next slide, please. Similar to the previous reports, the project reports, if you take the project reports, it consists of critical tasks, late task, milestone reports, sleeping tasks, etc. Next slide, please. And here, this is the image of the cost overview graphical report. As you can see, it mentions the cost, I mean the baseline cost, and what is the remaining cost, and what is the percentage is completed, and all these cost related things it is displayed clearly in the cost overview report. Next slide, please. In the project overview report, we can see how far the project is completed. It mentions in the percentage, that is, if you can, as you see in the image, out of 100%, the 33% of the task is completed. It mentions the overview of the project completion. Next slide, please. Next, the work overview report. That is, for example, as it is mentioned in the image, the total shift work is, if it is mentioned as, I mean, if it's planned as a 744 hours, what actual work, I mean, how far it is completed. That is 296 hours completed, which is clearly mentioned there. And it is mentioned in the percentage wise also. These are the things which can be viewed in the work report. Next slide, please. And then the resource overview report. It consists of what are the resources, and it gives a statistical view of the resource and work status. Next slide. And here the last thing is that the cash flow report. We can easily view the cash flow. I mean, how far how much cost is spent and how much cost is remaining. All these things are very clearly and very well given in the cash flow report itself. Then next slide, please. And then the last thing is that the critical task thing. In the critical task, we can easily see that how far the tasks has been completed till date, and what are the tasks remaining, how much task is remaining in the forthcoming days. It is clearly mentioned here. So in all these things, it is handy for the user to view these things, especially in a board meeting or all these things. All these reports will come handy when we need to report your full project. And then it's over to you, Jyothir.
Okay, so thank you, Kishore, for taking over from me and explaining the MSP part. So finally, I would like to thank Ashok Kumar sir and Parimal Marathe sir for their support, and CMTI for actually offering us this internship, in the online uh, the online platform. So I frankly have learned this skill. I had a lot of things. I know that I have stammered and was not able to deliver my 100% thing. So, but I'll try to improve the next time. So, thank you, Ashok Kumar sir, for giving us this opportunity. And over to you, sir.
Nice, Jyothir and Kishore. This is the real internship of what I wanted to convey to the audience and as well as the people who are doing. See, these kind of learnings towards the industry helps you to gain not only the knowledge and gives access to the people so that they will accept you and lot of work you people did. Actually the training time was limited and the resources was limited, but in fact you people worked nicely. I was from the starting to now I was listening to your presentation. See, it is from the flow chart itself I can understand you have really taken up what is work breakdown structure, all these things, reports you clearly understood. And only thing is you have to implement these things in the projects. Definitely while you are doing this implementation and practicing while you are in the projects, you people in the projects, you can be a better planners. And there is a wonderful scope available in the project planning department. It's not about only learning the software, it is learning about overall concept of the project. What is WBS, the definitions you should understand, how why the report generations, all this makes people strong. And planning is a wonderful profession. And anyway, it requires a little bit of a site execution knowledge also. Hope you will gain due to the pandemic you came into online. Once you are into project sites, definitely you have a better knowledge to you so that you can implement the same in the projects also. uh, it's nice, Jyothir and Kishore. I congratulate you for completing this internship. I hope this is your second internship or first internship.
This was actually my first, sir.
Okay, nice, nice, excellent report. And I appreciate. Even I think your HOD also joined the session in between, and after then I think due to his schedule, he left the meeting. And definitely I will update this. I am very much happy about your internship. It will be uploaded in our learning portal also, so that it will be having access. Some here maybe 20 to 35 people attended this program.